Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Alex, if you didn't know. This is a makeup channel. So today I wanted to do a makeup look inspired by Jenna Ortega of Wednesday. I watched it recently. I watched a little bit of Wednesday and, oh, okay. I thought this was Bear. It's not, it is Haze. It's fine though, we're going with it. We're going for Goth anyway, so like whatever. So, Jenna Ortega, gorgeous, beautiful bone structure. Love this like smoky goth grungy look that she has going on. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get right into it. This feels weird. It hasn't been that long for you guys because I like space things out a little bit, but I haven't filmed in like over 2 weeks, so it's just like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now. Okay, so I'm gonna start off with the eyes just because I wanna be able to clean it up if I need to. You know what I mean? Like if it gets a little too grungy, we can do some cleanup. So I'm gonna start off with Urban Decay priming I'm gonna start off with the e.l.f. I'm gonna try to use mostly drugstore just because it's like more accessible. I'm gonna try to use mostly drugstore. e.l.f. e.l.f. Sheer Eye Primer is what I'm gonna start off with. I'm gonna take a little bit of that on my lower lash line as well because for some reason, liner, shadow, just hasn't really been staying there. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is go in with a gray eyeliner, which when you look at a lot of her looks, you could also use brown. A lot of you might think you just see black. I'm not saying that she doesn't just use black, but she has much darker coloring than me. So if you are like blonde, if you're lighter, then going in with a gray or a brown first is just like a really good option to keep it a little bit more like natural looking, if that makes any sense, and not so heavy on your color. On your features. If you have dark brows, dark eyes, dark hair, black probably isn't gonna make that big difference because you probably have black eyelashes, or at least very dark eyelashes. So I'm going to use the Revlon So Fierce liner. This is in the shade Force of Steel. So I'm placing this all in my waterline first and dragging a little bit onto my lower lash line, just to kind of fill that gap. And then I'm ready with my little e.l.f. detail crease brush. I'm gonna start blending that, just kind of buffing it out messily. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you wanna be ready because you wanna blend before it starts to set, especially since we have that eyeshadow primer there. And you can kind of like blend and build that up as much as you want. I'm gonna kind of use my dark circles to my advantage here and just blend it down into them around my like this part of my eye where my eye is more defined, my lower eyelid, I guess you could call it. And see, that looks black on my eyes because I'm fair, but it's gray. It's like a nice steel gray color. So I'm gonna go in with a black if I need it to kind of like build up. If this kind of smoky eye really intimidates you, just remember to start off with like less. Go in with a little bit, blend it out, and then if you wanna build it up, you can. It's always better to go in with less and build it up rather than like going in with way too much. It's just like a lot harder to remove. But we did do our eyes first so that we could, if we needed to. I don't think I'm gonna need to though. So for the first thing I'm gonna do on the upper lash line is kind of like tight line, I guess. So I'm gonna go into my lashes. This like freaks a lot of people out. You don't have to like go into your entire waterline, inner waterline, but just kind of blending into your lashes. And it's okay if a little bit gets up there because we're gonna blend. I just wanna make sure I'm filling any gaps. And then I'm going to just kind of like, starting with one eye, I'm gonna kind of pat just against my lash line, just kind of thickening up that lash line. I'm not like drawing anything heavy, just putting in a little bit of definition, basically just like stabbing at my lashes. That's essentially what I'm doing. And then I'm gonna go back in with that same e.l.f. detail crease brush and just buff it out. Try to stick with me because this shit can look crazy halfway through, like especially before you put your base makeup on. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with the Master Precise, I don't know what this is called. Master Precise eyeliner? Skinny something? I don't know, it always has like a million different names. This is the black one. It's just a really, really skinny like tight liner, essentially. I'm gonna build up a little bit more with this. So I'm gonna do the same thing on the lower lash line, but I'm not gonna take it into my waterline. I'm gonna leave that gray. And I'm just using that same brush. So obviously if you wanna keep it like a little bit lighter, just stick with the gray or brown if you wanna use brown. But if you wanna build it up, you can use black. And like I said, if you already have like relatively dark coloring, you can go straight in with black. So same process that I did on the upper lash line. Just kind of like dotting it and then blending. The faster you start to blend, the easier you'll have, or the easier time you'll have with that, because it starts to set and then it's not going anywhere. Same thing on the upper lash line, and I'm gonna make it kind of tight in the inner part of my eye and then just a little bit thicker on the outer part. And you can see I'm not just going like back and forth with this. I'm starting off with kind of like patting motions with the brush, which just, in my opinion, helps you to kind of like keep the product like exactly where you put it. Sometimes when you just go in like this, it can kind of be like haphazard. And once I've blended that, I'm gonna take whatever's left over on the brush and just kind of like blend upward a little bit. The whole point of this is that it looks like kind of messy, so don't worry if it's not like perfectly blended or even or anything. Wait, what the? All right, I have to blend. I don't know when that happened. Did that just happen? Wait, how am I going to remove this? How do I not have any makeup remover? Okay, I'm finally going to use a clean brush. Well, it's not exactly clean, but it's like cleaner. This is the 01 brush from Refer. I'm going to go in with the Mad for Matte. It's a very dusty palette. Nude Mood palette from e.l.f. I haven't decided what color I'm using. I'm going to use this gray. Maybe I'll mix this gray with this like taupe color. But yeah, I'm essentially going to set those liners. Starting with my lower lash line, I'm just going to really lightly kind of press and then buff. And then same thing on the upper lash line. Kind of just like patting at the lash line. I'm not ready to blend everything completely out because I don't have the rest of my face makeup on yet. Okay, I'm gonna move on to the rest of my face before I finish off the eyes. So first, I just wanna assess, do I have fallout? Is there cleanup that needs to be done? Surprisingly, things look pretty good. So I'm going to prime my face. I'm gonna use, I don't think I have any drugstore primers. Wait, do I? I don't have any drugstore primers. Remember, mostly drugstore was the goal here. So I'm gonna go in with the Makeup Forever Hydra Boost Step 1 primer. You could just use your moisturizer, anything a little hydrating. I'm gonna focus this on the outer part of my face. I am gonna take that underneath my eyes a little bit. Then I'm gonna go in with the Pore Minimizer Step 1 primer, also Makeup Forever, right in the center of my face. Now I'm gonna be revisiting a product, also not drugstore, don't be mad at me. This is the Milk Hydro Grip Under Eye Primer. You can use this as a primer for your eyelids and your under eyes, but I don't want to use a lot of powder because she's young. She's like 20 years old, okay? So she's not like using a lot of powder. Just to focus on like clean skin. So I'm just patting this out. This just kind of like helps to grip your concealer. Any product that you put down there, whether it's concealer or foundation, prevents it from moving around without having to set with a powder. I might use a little bit, but this is gonna do most of the work. All right, so I'm gonna use the Rimmel Lasting Foundation. This is in the shade 103 Ivory. I'm gonna put a little bit of this, just one pump on the back of my hand. And then I'm gonna be using a beauty blender or whatever, makeup sponge. So I'm going to just kind of dot this and then very lightly blend it out around my whole face. I don't want a ton of coverage. She's really not wearing that much. And also, when you do like a kind of a heavier smoky eye, not that this is so heavy, but when you have a smoky eye, especially when you're working with like colors like black, the more product you put on your face, it can just end up making like the whole look kind of heavy. So going for like a cleaner skin, maybe spot concealing rather than going for full coverage is just, I don't know, it feels more balanced to me. So same thing, building up small amounts rather, I usually color correct before foundation, but I forgot. It's fine. So right now I'm not like perfecting. I just want to make sure that there's no like large patches of red skin or anything. I'll get to the spot concealing later on. All right, color correction. LA Girl, Pro Conceal. This is in light ivory, but it's like basically peach. So just a little tiny bit right in the hollow of my under eye, just to kind of like warm up that darkness so it doesn't look gray when I go in with my concealer. Refer 36 brush. Again, I was like kind of working with my dark circles, so I don't want to completely cover them up. So I'm gonna keep my concealer and my color corrector relatively low. Do I want to switch it up and use e.l.f.? That looks a little dark. So I'm gonna use L'Oreal Infallible in Ivory. It's a concealer that I love, and why should I change things? Basically is my question. So I'm going to place this in areas where I need a little bit more coverage, and I'm gonna blend it out immediately so it's not sitting for a while. So listen, Jenna and I have very different bone structures, very different faces, okay? She has like perfect lines, great lines. I don't have those, okay? I don't have those. So I'm gonna cheat some of that with my usual contouring techniques. If you are not into contouring, if you don't wanna mess with that stuff, then just, you know, blast right past it, dude. And we'll finish off the eyes after I do it. But I am gonna kind of like go through it relatively quickly because I always do this. Like, you guys have seen this a million times. You don't really need to see it. I have changed my contour routine, but I'll dedicate a video to that. Then yeah, I don't even want to talk about it because I've done it so many times. So keeping concealer relatively low. I'm placing it in an area where my dark circles basically aren't, but that's because I want to blend up lightly like this so that I'm not getting rid of them completely. Because like I said, I kind of wanted to like use them to my advantage. See how that just kind of like brightens up the under eyes without, you know, putting it directly in that hollow. So I'm just gonna blend ever so slightly up into that. Make sure that it's blended into the side of my nose. And then once I have all these face products down, I can go in and finish the eyes because I'll be able to like blend stuff into what's down, if that makes sense. All right, I'm kind of gonna what am I saying? I'm going to speed through the contour because I'm gonna go through that in a separate video. So you're seeing a bunch of stuff. If you want a detailed video, it'll be up at some point. Okay, the one part of the contouring that I want to talk you through is just the temple contour. So this is something that I like to do because it creates a little bit more of a lift to my eyes, but it's also something that I do to create a little bit more shape to my actual eyes, like not just lifting here, but shape to my like crease without using eyeshadow. So using my face products to kind of like shape my eyes naturally, looking naturally without using like darker colors. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm probably gonna do like a more in-depth video about that at some point, but basically what I'm just doing is blending this stuff into this area right here, which helps to kind of like push that back a little bit. And it just makes like work less when I go in with the finishing touches of my eyeshadow. All right, I'm gonna do some spot concealing, my Kosas concealer in O2W and my Refer brush number 23. And I just want to hit like the major areas. I'm not going to worry about every little spot. I'm going to go in with the tiniest bit of powder just to make sure that everything is set in place. I'm going to use the Maybelline Fit Me. This is number 10. I'm just going to really gently pat this in those areas that are especially like moist. looking. But I'm gonna kind of take it, like pat it all over the face because I'm gonna go in with a little bit of a powder bronzer and blush. And I just don't want skipping or like, I don't want it to like stick to my skin. Areas where I spot concealed, I'm just patting. So I'm not removing coverage. Okay, it's like very slowly starting to come together. So for my bronzer, I'm gonna use this Wet n Wild Color Icon bronzer. This is in, actually don't know. Oh, Ticket to Brazil. And I'm just gonna add like a tiny bit of warmth here. Nothing crazy. So I already did some shaping, so I just wanna like make sure that I don't look completely pale. So for my cheeks, that's like right between where I'm gonna blush and where I contoured. And just up to the temple a little bit. And I actually have like a really good color for this. So this is the L'Oreal True Match blush. This is in, I don't know what this is. W5 through 6, what? Subtle Sable, I think is the name. Just a small amount, and I'm going to go just above where I bronzed. So I'm gonna focus it here and then going up a bit. So just keeping it up a bit higher on the cheekbone. Now listen, she's got those crazy, like this line that everybody is like getting that crazy surgery. I mean, I don't think they really are, but like some people, I guess, are getting that crazy surgery to have. So what you can do is just take, you want like a precise brush, just take a little bit of a contour powder. I'm using Wayne Goss, not drugstore. You wanna just kind of follow your contour that you put in. Helps to kind of like tilt your face around so you can see like where it naturally goes. Just bring it in a little bit, like right there. Right there. If you do it too much, it's gonna look crazy, okay? It'll look crazy if you do it too much, but if you just do a little bit right there, it just kind of like snatches that area a little bit, you know, brings it in a little bit more compared to this side. Just like that, so it sort of brings everything in just a little bit. If you wanna go for that, that's how I would do it. All right, now, slightly different eye shapes. This area is larger and also comes down. It's a lot flatter looking. So I kind of want to like cheat a little bit more of an eye socket. I mean, she has relatively like lower brows than me, but she's obviously younger. So she doesn't have like this situation happening. We also obviously have different eye shapes. So I'm going to use my Refero 2 brush. So this is like a little, see this guy? I'll clean it off a little bit. It's just like a little bit more detailed. Sigma Switch. This thing is so nice for cleaning off really dirty brushes. So I'm gonna go in with that same gray shade. I'm gonna use the gray shade from that e.l.f. palette. And all I'm gonna do is kind of like cheat my crease a little bit. So just above where that line is, I'm gonna create a new line. And I want it to be soft, because I don't want this to be like a ridiculous smoky eye. I don't want it to get like super intense. I just want to create like a hint of an idea that my eye socket is different than what it actually is. Should probably zoom you in for this. So just above that line, especially here and down. And then once I have like enough of that placed down, I'm gonna kind of like just buff so it's not really harsh. It helps to start off by looking straight into a mirror so you can kind of see like where you want it to lay exactly when you're like looking straight ahead. And then you can kind of like tilt so you can really see what you're doing. Now that I have the rest of my face makeup on, I can kind of like go back into the lower lash line, blend around a little bit. Like if my concealer came up a little too high, just make sure that everything looks the way I want it to. Now, in most of the images that I saw of her, she does have a highlighter. If you guys want to do a little bit of highlighting, you can. I'm gonna use something pretty natural. I'm gonna use the Vesca Moonlight highlighter. And I am going to hit my inner corner, but I don't want it to be like too beaming. I just kind of want it to open up this area a little bit so it's not insanely dark, just like that. So there's just like a little bit of a reflect, a little something to keep it like from looking too dark. And just a tiny bit on my brow bone. Then I'm just going to hit like the very tops of my cheekbones. All right, I'm just gonna set my brows really quick with some soap. This is Pear's soap. I wanna keep them looking very natural. While I wait for that to dry, I'm gonna go in with mascara. So I'm going to curl my lashes with my Velour Lash Curler. Any lash curler that you like that fits your eye shape is totally fine. I love this one. And then I'm gonna use the Maybelline Sky High Waterproof Lash Sensational mascara. And I chose this mascara because it's actually more of kind of like a soft black, like a, I don't know, almost like a dark charcoal kind of gray color. So it ends up really complementing that gray liner that I used. It's just gonna keep everything looking a little bit more soft. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in and fill my brows, the sparse areas. I'm gonna use Taupe by NYX. This is the brow tint pen. But I'm gonna keep them relatively light. Brows really just kind of like make everything come together. I feel like I didn't like it until I just did my brows. Now I'm like, okay, this looks okay. Okay, and then for my lips, I'm going to revisit an old fave. This is NYX Nude Beige. I haven't used this in a really long time. I should probably sharpen this. And then right in the center, I'm gonna go in with Revlon Untold Stories. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go in, well, I just went in with that, but I'm gonna go in with a little bit of CoverGirl liquid lipstick in the shade, is there a shade? Prosecco Pop? It's like a little darker. Okay, I just decided that I want a little bit more. I feel like she just like has a little bit more going on. So I'm gonna go back in with the gray color from the e.l.f. palette using a little blending brush. This is my Refer 13 brush. And I just wanna like define that lower eye socket a little bit more. So I'm gonna take it right at the bottom, obviously pointing up so that I'm kind of like blending up. I don't wanna take it down too far. I just wanna define this a little more. And then I'm gonna take that same color on that same brush and go just a little bit more up here. Taking it in, like just darkening this whole area. And then using it to blend a little bit more over here. All right, guys, that's it for this look. I hope you enjoyed. It was fun to do. I really love, I've been loving like a really like undone eye look recently. I don't know why. I did this kind of thing on New Year's Eve where I just like went in with an eyeliner and I really like roughed it up and then I kind of set it with eyeshadow and then added some like glitter liner and it just looks cool. Like it just looks cool. We use mostly drugstore, so very affordable. I'll try to link alternatives for the things that weren't drugstore. There's very few things. Let me know if you enjoyed this or if you like her makeup, this whole like grungy, kind of like goth vibe. If you want to see more things like this, or if you have more like celebrity recreations, specific ones that you really want to see, someone's at my front door. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know. Happy 2023 or whatever. We're back. We're doing makeup. Okay? I gotta go. Bye.